Mother Earth, thank you. You are wonderful and beautiful, and I love when you wear green. You wore green the first time I saw you. So every time I see you in green, it reminds me of how I felt at that moment. You have shared something so special that I never knew existed, but has always been right under my feet. Before March 2020, I was travelling around the world taking photos of all sorts of things, mostly in nature, but always different places and interesting new faces. And then, lockdown. This changed things for a lot of people. For me, it meant that I could not work at all, because each new job usually involved an aeroplane. Around that time, I remember seeing videos online about people reacting to simple things like toilet paper, and I wonder what it would be like if the fuss became about something more important, like food. I remember when I was a child, laying on the grass on my back in the sun, daydreaming about being like a gorilla in the forest, running around all natural, eating whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, just pure and wonderful, eating clean organic food, straight from the source under the sun. Well, nothing was going to change if I just kept sitting on that bench. So that day, I made a decision to use this opportunity to realise that dream I've had since childhood. Well, I hammered and screwed and dug and chopped and moved about 200 wheelbarrowfuls of topsoil from around this hill and put it in some garden beds. At that point, I knew nothing about gardening, actually. I'd been busy with my head inside the camera for most of my life. I still wanted to use the camera gear that I'd been accumulating over all these years, so I started filming, and from there, everything grew. It all began with a bare hill and an idea. A weedy hill, actually, secluded deep in the Australian bush, far away from any town and even further from a city. Cows here have been keeping most of the weeds down and pooping everywhere, which has been really good for the soil. I think they like it up here on the hill. Always sunny, great view. Apart from my mother teaching me about how plants get their energy from the sun, which I remember only because it's called photosynthesis, and a little bit about how to find earthworms in cow manure, I knew pretty much zilch about gardening when I started putting up the electric fence here to keep the cows out. I wanted to share my own enthusiasm of watching how plants respond to human care and nurturing, and to convey that enthusiasm through my camera, to motivate people to get back to the garden and connect with nature and rediscover how amazingly enriching it actually is. When I began the journey, a whole new world opened up to me. When my body became grounded and I started eating food that I'd grown myself, I really and truly entered another state of well-being. And that's the journey I want to share. The most interesting thing that I've learned so far, and also the craziest thing I've heard, is that every single plant here in this garden get their food from bacteria farts. Yeah, bacteria fart. Well, it's really more like their poo. A healthy soil is full of bacteria that eat all the dead organic matter and rocks, and it's their poo that the plants live on. Without bacteria here, there would be nothing at all. Who would have thought that? The way I see it is like this. Let's start with the word compose. A song is composed of any number of notes in any number of combinations. Photograph is also composed of light, angle, colour. We are, in a sense, also a combination of natural elements that all derive from the earth itself. So too are the plants. In fact, every single living organism on Earth is a composition of natural elements that exist all around us. Now let's look at the word decompose. The exact opposite. All those elements are now being separated again back to their original form of carbon, nitrogen, calcium, potassium, and so on and so forth, just like on your periodic table. So when a plant or animal dies, we all know that it decomposes. But what is actually happening under the ground? Down here underneath the carrots, you have earthworms and bugs and all sorts of tiny animals that eat and die and get eaten. And at the end of that food chain, there are the tiniest little things you can't even see with your naked eye. Soil bacteria. They are basically the end of the food chain in the animal kingdom. They release or break down those elements back into the soil, the plant kingdom, and take them in through their roots and start the same cycle of life and death, composition and decomposition again. So a healthy living soil is full of soil bacteria, releasing the elements back to be reused by the plant kingdom. When we talk about soil, we're talking about the living skin of our planet. A factory for all life on Earth. Soil is the basis of life for everything. It's made of life, by life, for life. It's that history of composition and decomposition. The microscopic organisms in the soil will decompose everything so that the plants and the animals can reuse these elements it needs to recompose, to grow. There is an intricate and important community just under my feet. The health of my garden depends on the health of this ecosystem, and because I eat, what comes from the garden, it's becoming clearer to me to understand that the level of my well-being is equal to the well-being of the soil. In a natural system, all the nutrients and minerals come from the animals and the plants which have lived in and upon the soil, but also the rocks and the stones that are found in the soil. If you think about a healthy forest floor to be like a big supermarket, it contains all the minerals and nutrients that the plant needs. And the fungi, it's like the shop assistant that helps assist the plants in finding and transporting all these nutrients up into its roots, into its leaves, and into its fruit. You've got to try and think the way a forest works. All the animals that live up in the tree, birds, spiders, mice, bats, and everything else. They're all eating from the tree, and they're all pooing. They're all dying. The tree is even feeding itself by dropping its leaves and twigs and branches, all of which becomes food for the microorganisms which release the nutrients back into the soil that will feed the plants again. Everything is built from microscopic Lego blocks which are all different shapes and sizes, and each belongs to a group of elements on the periodic table, a library of elements of earth, wind, water and fire. Being in this garden and walking around with my bare feet on the earth, I'm beginning to live in a flow of what I call the feel-good factor. I kind of feel like my energy is vibrating at a frequency that is finally lined up with what the universe has been attempting to deliver to me my whole life. I'm finding some of the outside, but most of it comes from the inside. You could say it's a bit inside out, but I feel it to be true for me.
If you head out past the daily grind of stress and wasting time, our city lights that hide the sun. It's minutes with cotton, high heels and mini skirts.
Okay, got a bit of sad news, guys. There's been a kangaroo that's been hit by the car. Okay, we call it in Australia a roadkill. It's very unfortunate. It happens sometimes to poor innocent kangaroos and poor unlucky drivers. Okay, I think it was pretty quick. I'm going to take the kangaroo and put it in the garden. Another thing I did which I thought was pretty cool was that I filled up the swales with sawdust from the local sawmill. I did this for two reasons. It really feels good under my bare feet. Gorillas don't wear shoes in the forest. I don't either. The other reason I'm filling the swales with sawdust is that it will retain much more moisture. Over time it will become food for the trees. In a few years, or maybe even less, it will be just full of fungi and mushrooms. A massive underground global network of food supply and transport system for the plant kingdom. The fungi, or the mycelium, it can tell the plant where the good stuff is, and even help bring it to the roots through all the tiny hairs that connect it to everything under there. At this stage, I thought I was doing great. One food forest, ready to go. All I have to do now is wait. But the wind came, the sun was hot, the kangaroos came, the bush turkey came. I thought I was going to lose the lot. These little trees would normally germinate under the mother canopy. That in itself is a vital protector. The seed as it germinates and reaches up into the world. No strong winds, no direct sunlight. I made a mistake by putting everything out there in the open like this. But I didn't panic. No, I stayed calm and I tried to imagine how I could make something that resembled a canopy. I had to be this tree's mother for a while, until it was strong enough to look after itself. So I did. So this is what it looks like today, and I'm starting to feel like a gorilla from my childhood dreams. One day I looked at everything and asked myself, I wonder if things did change somehow, and I really did have to live from my garden. I wonder if I could. So I tested the theory and made a promise to myself that I would try and stay in the garden until I had eaten my own weight in produce, and that was 95 kilos. Too many bugs around the lights now, so I'm going to turn the lights off and go to bed. It's the first night, and see you tomorrow. Good morning, Weedy Garden. every day I weigh my food, and I write it down on the cupboard over there, and I'm not eating anything else except what I'm growing in the ground in my food forest, in my vegetable garden. And all I've got is a bit of olive oil, a bit of coconut oil, a bit of salt, and a bit of lemon pepper. Other than that, it's everything of herbs and spices that I've grown myself since I started my garden. Today I'm making onions in here. I've got onions and garlic and a bit of thyme. And in here are potatoes boiling, and some beans, tomatoes, some silver beet, some edible hibiscus, and some sweet potato leaves, and a bit of lemon pepper in here. It's really going to be tasty. I've been there 4 days now, and I've just eaten over 7.5 kilos so far, but I don't know what's going to go on. Just enjoying myself here.
Nothing wrong with this at all.
It all started well, sleeping under the stars, waking up with the sun, harvesting, preparing and eating a whole bunch of wonderful, colourful, natural, clean, organic food in pretty much every colour of the rainbow. Using the days basically just to nurture the space of the garden and my food forest. I made sure that in preparation for my experiment, I planted lots of beans a few months beforehand. And the Madagascar bean was producing plenty. I needed protein, but after the first week, Okay, so a couple of days have gone past, and I'm thinking that I'm going to run out of beans, and that I kind of like the idea of getting some chickens. So I need some chickens because I need some eggs. And I'm thinking it's 12 o'clock now, and it's hot, but underneath this little tree it's nice and shady. So I'm going to put my chicken house underneath here. And then I'll make a yard so they can go around in the garden and they can find their own little grubs and worms and greens and stuff. So I'm going to set that up. I look forward to getting little chickens, getting little eggs in the morning. I don't mind eating a few eggs. So there's this old recipe I learned while I was out travelling. It's a really easy way to make a chicken shed. You make a little house because they need to roost. They need to be safe from the snakes and from the fox and stuff. So what you do is you gather a bit of bark, and it has to be a special tree. It has to be a special gum tree from the Northern Rivers area. Okay, and then you get 2 of these leaves from this Ujaakapipi tree, right? Like that. Really careful. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stand in this spot here, alright, as soon as these leaves touch this brown, it makes a chicken house. Just watch what happens. I'll put these on first, and then I'll try them. See that? That was too easy. And one chicken house ready to go. All I got to do is get some chickens. Night, girls. Night, girls. So I got some chickens and welcomed parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme to the garden. Most of the trees up here in the Weedy garden are too young yet to bear fruit, and I do have quite a sweet tooth. Oh look, a couple of nice zucchinis here. So it was on week 2 I thought of the honey and the bees. go. And then this is my J tool. Alright, let's hope they don't bite me on my feet. I don't want to get bitten on the foot. See, I'd heard about this flow hive through a friend of mine in Sydney who has a few on his roof, so I decided to get one flow hive. So you can look in the side, see how they're working in there? Now usually when you buy a flow hive, it takes months before you can harvest any honey. But luckily for me, the flow hive people are just down the road. And when I explained to them my experiment, they were able to deliver a hive that was already full of bees and honey. How sweet is that? Time for dinner. Time for dinner. Oh, I might just stoke up that bath water so it's nice and warm. Oh, this is really delicious. Wow. Oh man, this is great. This is one of the best meals I've had so far. Good night, Chookies. Good night. Hey, Cookie, you want to move your bum in? Good night, girls. The eggs helped a lot and so did the honey, but I thought at the time that it was not good for you to eat more than an egg or two a day. Something I found out later that was just an old wives' tale, but in any case, I was only eating 1 or 2 eggs a day. So with the lack of protein, I was getting tired and losing energy, so I decided to try and catch an eel from the creek. Maybe I just got to be quick. Maybe. They're so slippery, man. Oh, this go so quickly? Where are we going? Oh, there he is. Wow! Might be slippery. Just got to keep going up the shallow water. Here's a big one. A bit unlucky he got away, but I'll get another one. There were dozens of them, but they were so slippery, I could not catch one. On day 38, and after eating about 75 kilos, I decided to stop my experiment because I didn't have any nuts or anything much other than beans and eggs for my protein. I didn't feel like eating bugs. I decided to end my experiment and went to bed in my tent for the last time up on the hill. Good night. It was a good day. It was a really good day. The koala kept me awake again. Suddenly, I heard a loud thud in the middle of the night. That thud sounded like a koala falling out of the tree, but koalas never really fall out of trees. Something happened that night that changed everything, and I was able to continue with the experiment. The next morning after I fed parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme, I went for a walk to find out what that thud was. What I found nestled in the grass is something that the Aborigines love to eat and always have for thousands of years, and they taste fabulous. A bunya nut. Some of the big ones can weigh up to 18 kilograms. So no wonder I heard the thud from my tent. I googled how to cook bunya nut and found out in the process that they are full of protein. So the experiment was back on. A little bit like coconutty, a little bit starchy, sort of like a raw potato. I think I'll boil these up. I'll boil them, I'll make a fire and I'll put some on the fire. So, on day 40-something, I only needed to eat about 20 more kilograms before I could say that I ate my own weight in food. 95 kilos from the garden, plus a nearby bunya tree. A few weeks before the end of my experiment, it rained and rained and rained. The roads in all directions were cut off from the town for a couple of weeks. We had no power, no internet, no access to the shops for about 2 weeks. The helicopters were coming in with food to some people. But we had plenty up here in the Weedy garden. And more than enough to share with our neighbours. Yeah, mate, so you can have it.
Oh, thank you. Mate, thank you very much, eh?
You're welcome.
Cheers.
It was worth the effort. Not only did I learn the capacity of my garden and myself, I also feel more mellow than I ever have.
Need to know! I'm a child of the earth! I'm an earthling! And I'm gonna live to be 100 years old!
By this time I'd actually lost a few kilograms in the process. So I had already eaten my own weight in food a few days ago, but to celebrate my last supper, final kilogram of the 95, I invited some of my friends. I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to give thanks to the grandeur of existence. The microbes who feed the plants it all comes from. The insects who pollinate this beautiful food. The sun. The water in the sky. All of it.
And it's real good with Alex's hot sauce. Real good. Alex's hot sauce, real good with the fritters. Dude. No, Alex made some for the mentioned hot sauce, dude. It's so good.
I wanted to give thanks to all these things that give me the building blocks that I need to reach my full potential. Just like a seed. When my body's healthy, my mind is healthy. And when my mind is healthy, my heart is healthy. And when my heart is healthy, then I'm able to be connected to the whole of Mother Earth under my bare feet.